I'd like to, on behalf of BEPA, I acknowledge and pay respects to the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and thank them for sharing their diverse and rich culture. I'm sad that Uncle Gordon and Jason aren't here because their presentations were very emotional for me. And I want to thank Brooke Savage, our counsellor, for coming to this session. Thank you, Brooke. BEPA also thanks all those involved in organising this Pumicestone Catchment Convergence Conference. Thank you, Susie. I know what you do. Oh. That's it. Yeah. So the next slide shows you just two photos of the Pumicestone from Bribie looking across to the glass house. That's sort of the big picture. The other one is what you see when you're actually looking down and focusing. So we have to see the big and the small picture when we're looking at our precious environment and what we want to get out of it. This one's an interesting one. I suggested that we maybe not play it, but Bribie, we're in a biodiversity extinction. I mean, it's there. Bribie Island's internationally protected fauna and flora sanctuary is at risk from unsustainable population growth and inappropriate and unsustainable development and tourism marketing, and we're fed up. Bribie Island is the jewel of Moreton Bay. It is an island encompassed by Pumicestone Passage and Moreton Bay, all of which is protected under the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands of International Importance, the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species, Marine Park, and much of Bribie is National Park. Bribie Island has pristine freshwater lagoons and a honeycomb of freshwater aquifers that support the island's fragile vegetation and wildlife. The next
statements in this report saying that we're eroding the very foundation of our livelihoods and economic well-being.
I watched that on TV, and it was about the biodiversity extinction, and it just broke my heart. So the next slide is a photo of us on the Ferryman a couple of years ago for our 40th anniversary. BEPA's been around since 1978. And right in the middle with the hat is Len Baglow, who was, he and Jack Baker actually fought a battle in court with the help of the EDO, the Environmental Defenders Office, Joe Bragg in particular. And they stopped the rezoning of an area on Bribie from becoming canal development. And that was in 1998. And in 2007, BEPA lobbied and we had it designated as National Park. And that's where we have our wildflower walk now. It's a beautiful piece of rare Wallam heathland. So these photos are of sort of a bit of a history of planting the eastern coastline on Bribie. Wallam Action Group was spawned out of BEPA, and in 1998, John Ward, rest his soul, he and BEPA and a whole bunch of volunteers planted all the way from Red Beach round to Wooram, and Skirmish Point. So if you can imagine the bottom part of Bribie all the way up to Wooram, they planted thousands of casuarinas and other plants inland as well. And then the picture in the middle, in 2008, Friends of Wooram Beach were able to get a $50,000 Enviro fund from the Coast Care program, federal government Coast Care project, and with all the in-kind donations, it all added up to $172,000. And out of that, we grew all these plants. We had a permit to go to the beach and collect cuttings and seeds and things, grew all the plants, planted the plants, as you can see, and David Percival and Ian Bell designed a specific fence. It was an innovative design that was turtle-friendly to keep pedestrians off the dunes. And then, of course, if you see the The bulldozers on the beach at Main... Can you hear me? Yeah. The bulldozers on the beach at Main Beach at Wurrum, taking 2 metres off the dune to give sea views. And then there's the sand replenishment right after that. And instead of depositing the sand incrementally down the coastline, it was placed in front of the main beach. And to the right of that, you can see the sand groin it created, which when you come down to the middle picture here, that's Freshwater Creek. It eroded 80 metres of land. That groin caused the erosion of 80 metres of land. And so when we just planted these plants last year with the help of Susie and a huge grant from Healthy Land and Water and the Moreton Bay Regional Council, and we had to use barung to plant them and weed because of COVID, and they had all the protocols. So you can see from that erosion there, because the groin was sand and was mobile, it regrew this dune. So now we're really establishing it with huge amounts of planting. And if you look at these two pictures here, that's number 50 Rickman Parade in 2008. You can see the turtle tracks going up. This is what it looks like today after the recent erosion we had. So dune planting is huge if we're going to protect our dunes and try to keep sea level rise at bay if we can. Okay, next one please. Thank you. So the top three are 2010, and that's a turtle coming in at midnight to nest. That's her nest the next day, and you can see the lovely dunes out there in front of Rickman Parade. You saw the photo I just showed you. And that's her nest on the right up there, so you can see how beautiful that dune growth is. And then on the left, this is this year, 2020, just before Christmas. That's what it looked like after that high tide event we had at the end of December. And the turtle tracks going up to the base of the dune, there was nowhere for her to nest. So I had to find the nest, dig it up, and these are two Peace Fellows from the UQ Peace and Conflict Resolution program that's and they're supported by Rotary. And they were staying with us, so they got to see this. The one on the left is, one on the right's Mexican, and from Quito, Ecuador on the left. And then after this event, because there's real estate here, we had to have the bulldozers come in, and they transferred sand from the intertidal zone up into this dunal zone. So that was done about a day after this nest. So we had to get that nest out of there. So this is what we're doing to protect real estate that's at risk. And I think any decisions we make from now on, we must not be making that are putting real estate at risk. It's costing taxpayers a fortune to defend them. We have a sand backpassing system at Bribie to defend this particular kilometres of real estate, 1 kilometre of real estate. So, healthy beach, healthy dunes, healthy habitat, healthy wildlife. You know, a living beach, we have to remember it's a living beach, and it's a valuable natural asset. I hope you like all the lovely photos. So we forget that it's living. This one is the same. And when we have lots of people who come to the eastern side of Bribie just to see the sunrise, and then they go over to see the sunset over the Pumicestone. These are photographs people send to the paper. And the one in the middle is Second Lagoon, before the silly season when all the four-wheel drives come and they race around in that area. And this is another scene from after the silly season. And the middle one was 8 weeks ago, before the erosion. A turtle came up at flag 13, which is halfway between the entrance to the beach and the second lagoon, and she laid a beautiful nest, and I dug it up the other day. The hatchlings came out. She laid 114 eggs and 113 hatched successfully. It was a beautiful, healthy nest. So if we can keep these dunes in good shape and health, we're doing well. Thank you. Next one, please. Beeper also has been involved in water monitoring for quite a while. So back in 2009, these were the halcyon days of water monitoring, when SEQ Catchment managed us. We didn't have to think about a thing. SEQ Catchments brought the Haribas and everything over for us. We'd just go out for a week in teams and swap the Haribas around. Did I say Haribas? I meant Hariba. And then the young woman from SEQ Catchments would come and collect all the things for us, all the data we'd collected, photographs, comments, and take them back to their office and process it, enter it on a database, calibrate everything for us and bring it back in another month. Now we have to manage it all ourselves, get our applications in for grant funding, and our grant applicant is here. She does a great job, Jenny down here. So water monitoring ceased for a while. Then in 2018, water monitoring continued with a federal government grant for training and equipment. New sites were identified that included not only freshwater but estuarine monitoring. So we were doing it only freshwater before that. After the closure of Healthy Land and Water Community Database, Beeper keeps its own data and reports incidents and issues to the local government. During 2019-2021, Beeper has held regular field days. Is my time up? Oh, is it? Okay, we'll just whip through this. This is what our water monitoring does, and we do field days and everything. In the middle, you will see dying, a tall dying mangroves. We won't do the mangrove video, but you can see it there on the next slide, please. There, thank you. And we do a marine debris project. We have cane toad challenge. Can we just show the photos that are involved? Oh, you don't have to show it. We can go to the next one. So this is our cane toad challenge. If you want to know anything about it, it's just Google cane toad challenge. We're involved in that. It's fantastic. Everybody brings the children in, everything. Then, of course, we have our wildflower walk in the Wallam Heathland I told you about. And the next one is our stall, which we'll set up anywhere if anybody wants us. And then the next one is Beeper is trying to change the tourism model for Bribie Island, and we want to go from this to this as our image. So thank you. I'm sorry I went over time. Too much to tell.
Okay, we do have a question. How do managers of these ecosystems reconcile Ramsar and marine parks status when they fill these areas with sewage? I don't know if you can answer this one. Isn't it the same as setting up a terrestrial national park on a garbage dump?
Oh, I think that question speaks for itself. I mean, as I said, I think we're overdeveloping these areas and our infrastructure can't cope. If we're going to do it, we need to set up a management plan before we go ahead with anything. And in that management plan, we have to have infrastructure to cope with whatever we're going to impose on the environment. How's that?
Beautiful. Can everyone please thank Diane for the presentation? And if anyone is down in that northern area, Beeper is certainly a great group to be part of.